After months of resisting, the Department of Conservation has been forced to release pages and pages of secret chat room conversations with the security company Thompson and Clark. The private investigators were spying on anti-1080 activists for DOC and sharing the information through hidden channels on the messaging app Slack. The intel was costing nearly $4,000 a month. Last year, a report into government agencies' use of Thompson and Clark found that the security company may have illegally recorded private conversations while working for Southern Response Earthquake Services. Now, as for the Conservation Department, Thompson and Clark threatened to pull its services if DOC released the secret conversations on the Slack messaging service to RNZ. But the Ombudsman has now forced them to hand the transcripts over to us. It's pages and pages of tight, tiny type. So small you have to zoom in about 200% to read their secret messages. DOC and Thompson and Clark would have preferred they stayed invisible. There's 47 pages of back and forth between them.
It's very concerning. More concerning is the fact that we were not able to access that information.
On and off, the group chats included DOC's Director of Safety, Harry Marr, Thompson and Clark Director, Gavin Clark, and someone operating under the handle Natex. Each conversation has a title. One example, open source capture related to aerial operations on the Coromandel. Date, 30th September 2017, time 1612. It's followed by line after line of information about the movements and thoughts of 1080 activists, all hoovered off social media, group Facebook pages, chat forums and the like. They were snooping around Rangatike Environmental Health Watch, Marlborough Deer Stalkers and Stop Poisoning Coromandel Peninsula, Fish and Hunt Forum, and this woman, who's none too pleased.
I fought 1080 poison for some years. I was on the executive of the Ban 1080 party. I'm an admin on two of the larger anti-1080 Facebook groups, and I have my own personal page which is basically committed to fighting 1080.
The channel set up via the messaging app Slack was accessible by 3 Thompson and Clark staff and 3 DOC staff. DOC specifically requested the information shared in it not be included in its monthly situation report. The names of a number of individuals being monitored are blanked out, but not all. They refer to people's partners, flag up clashes and potential future protests, and provide a précis of what's being talked about. There's comments too.
Lives in Wanaka, but appears to be sent images from other activists from around the country for her to publish and comment about. She appears to be acting as a de facto propagandist for the anti-1080 movement.
So this is how they want to portray anti-1080 people to the general public, and it's part of their propaganda. So it's projection when they call us propagandists.
In March last year, there's a discussion about another person they're monitoring.
He appears paranoid and arguably suffering from mental health issues.
And situation reports.
Continues to target DOC intern.
DOC wouldn't be interviewed today, but in a letter said Thompson and Clark was helping it develop a security policy, and staff and contractors had faced repeated intimidation, including threats to kill during 1080 protests.
Have you ever threatened any DOC staff?
Never.
Would you consider yourself in any capacity to be a threat to the security of DOC staff?
Not in any capacity.
It says the material shared in this locked hidden chat channel was open source, meaning it was publicly accessible. And DOC says it never asked Thompson and Clark to do surveillance on any individual or group or to harvest their private data.
I think that most of us who are fighting 1080 hard have just come to realise that we now live in a country where we will be spied on if we are doing anything that goes against the government programs, no matter how benign or we are as people.
It's been a year since Checkpoint asked for these conversations to be released. DOC refused to give them up, saying it could lead to their staff being harassed and may drive the conversations they were monitoring underground. But behind the scenes, Thompson and Clark was pulling the strings. It warned DOC it was unlikely to continue providing the information if it couldn't have confidence that it could be withheld from the likes of Checkpoint. And it gave advice on how to avoid releasing it.
That's what we've come to expect from the Department of Conservation.
What is?
Well, this kind of obfuscation and doublespeak.
In the end, the Ombudsman forced these documents into the open, saying there was no real or substantial risk of harm to DOC staff if it was released. Now, DOC has said it terminated its contract with Thompson and Clark last year, and as mentioned, DOC declined to be interviewed, but confirmed to Checkpoint that Harry Marr is still a DOC employee and had access to the Slack channel, as did 2 other members of DOC staff, but they won't say who those people were. Now, if you want to check out, if you were one of the people they were snooping around on in their closed messaging forum, we are posting all the pages released to us on our website so that you can scroll through them.